Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Local Chat, episode 197. That's right, folks. 197 times around the Earth. That's how many times we've done it together as a group. Folks, joining me this week for the first time, I always say that, and I can't break myself from saying that, but for the first time ever is Karl from Save Data.
Hello!
Wow, it's so good to have you here. Also joining us for the last time, that's right, folks, for the final time, he will be, can't say what he'll be doing after this. It's Ian Gibson.
It's okay, folks, don't worry. I have been appointed to Trump's cabinet. I've got a couple weeks left, but I've started the transition process. We haven't decided which position I will be taking.
I thought they were anti-transitioning.
Nice.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you. That's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Just want to get those anti-trans jokes in, and then we're out of here. So that was really the highlights. It's all it says in our notes, really, 30 times over and over again. Folks, we did Extra Life last weekend, and for the first time ever, Save Data didn't also do Extra Life, which is crazy.
Yeah, baby.
It's a miracle.
It's a gosh darn miracle. We raised $22.50 on the dot, I believe.
That's correct.
And a large amount of money. I believe we're still fourth for the Giant Bomb team, which is
awesome.
Very cool. Behind, I believe Dan Reichert raised $45,000, which I don't think we're that would have been 4 tattoos, which would have been an absolute nightmare. Ian, what are your thoughts on our Extra Life this year?
I'm exhausted. I think I'm slowly recovering from the it's a very long day. It's a very long week of prep. It's a very long months of planning. But I feel like we talked about this. I feel like we have finally nailed Extra Life in terms of like planning and technical and video and audio and everything. We've completely nailed it. And so what we've decided is that next year we need to do something to kind of introduce a challenge in a way. It's one of those things where we do so much planning with the unlocks, the schedule, the audio, the video, that everything just works, right? I don't think we had pretty much any major problems that are this year. But that means that it's become a little bit too easy for us, and Extra Life is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be punishing. So we'll have to do something different next year for sure.
Yeah, I think next year. Oh God, there he goes. I think next year it's like a lot more like whips and like stabbing ourselves with things and blood. I think blood is an avenue we really haven't, and flesh I think is another avenue we really haven't.
You're joking, but we do need more punishment because some of the challenges like wax strips, we've just gotten so used to it that they're not that punishing anymore. And we pick so many games to play, and we focus on games that we enjoy. And there's 4 of us on the couch, so it doesn't feel like I played 24 hours of video games, and it doesn't feel like I did a 24-hour stream. It honestly feels like I just did like a long 4 or 5 hour stream. So I think we've got to lean into more punishment. We did hit that a little bit with Sunday morning, watching you guys play JoJo Siwa and Rainbow Rush. We need more games like that where it's like, you're not supposed to enjoy this, buddy. Like, you need to suffer for a bit.
I'm wondering if next year I might set as a personal goal, I might try to do the full 24. Because I think the grogginess adds to the punishment.
Yes,
I think that's not a terrible idea. But I'm already excited to get started on next year's Extra Life. I think we have a lot of good ideas, and like you said, now that we have basically all the tech down, it's just like tweaking the tech, getting it to the right place, and then it's all about the planning and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
And we also talked about now it's not about getting things to work properly. It's about doing things to a larger, grander extent. Like we talked about how, hey, it'd be great to have one of those remote control cameras so that we could easily whip and pan from the producer's desk and like punch in on things more easily instead of just cropping really slowly. So we're talking about some crazy stuff that now that we know we have something that works as a solid base, we can put a lot of crazy stuff on top of it, more remote segments, POVs, things like that.
It'd be great to have like a separate room as the studio, and like people can go in there and do stuff, like host a game show or like a live like game show or like the bests or something like that,
That stuff we've always shied away from, like doing mini game show during Extra Life. Like, it's possible. Maybe that's the challenge we need to do, is more complicated segments.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. Excited for that. Next year, Extra Life. That's right. Doing it again, even under duress. It'll be fun. Great. That's all the chit chat section says. So legally obligated to move on. As the newly elected chit chat attorney general. Games we've been playing this week. Karl has played 0 video games this week. He refuses to play video games until Kamala concedes. She hasn't done it yet. Karl, who'd you vote for in the United States election?
Oh, that's too long.
Wow, he froze.
That's too long to wait.
And it's
there.
somehow still moving.
You didn't hear it? It came through right. I heard a truck right before.
Yeah. No. Okay, Zach, can you come take it?
What a nightmare. I've had that I will vote Puerto Rican, I will vote for Donald Trump song stuck in my head
good
for
song.
like a week because Ian and I kept singing it during Extra Life setup. And then it's also just, it's so bad good, and it's we can't figure out why they sing it so slowly. It's so slow. It's a nightmare. So I've had that. Anyways, Karl, have you played any video games? Are you simply lacking typing? Do you own a keyboard in which you could have typed?
No, actually I have like there's wires connected to my brain, and I think of words and then they type. Sometimes it's out of control. That's how I got banned from Toontown, actually. I typed things that I shouldn't have through my...
It kept just typing slurs.
We know
it was
you got
wild.
banned from Toontown.
I forgot the typing, the bar, and the things. However, I did not play games, but I bring you information. See, I DM'd Zach S. Data of Save Data, and I said... All right, since I'm on local chat today, want to relay a message on stream? He said, promote Extra Life, which we're doing on November 16th, by the way, this Saturday, starting 1 p.m. ET, and our Ace Attorney video, which Zach has been working on for a decade. To which I responded with, I expected more fuck you Ian energy, but like that works too. To which he responds with, and I quote, bring more than 2 poison moves on a poison team.
Still one.
I'm gonna punch you. That's
okay. That's good. I'll have to bleep all that out in the official podcast and YouTube video. But wow, that hurts deeply. Ian still won though. I have been playing video games this week. In case you forgot they existed, Yakuza 7. I am back in. I helped a lady get her father out of a nursing home, and then I met her twin, and that got pretty wild. Then I did some Dragon Kart, which is just Mario Kart, but it's a worse Mario Kart, but it's funny to see it in Yakuza, and that was pretty fun. And then I'm trying to remember the last thing I did. I helped a guy who ran out of a soap land or a bathhouse because his grandma was dying, but he forgot his clothes, so I had to escort him to a clothing store without getting water on him that would wash the bubbles off. And that was super fun. I really enjoyed that one. So that game's still going great. My one gripe is I and this isn't a gripe at all against the game, it's purely me, but I have to sit down and play that game. I have to sit down, focus, read, get into the characters' minds. And that's a good thing because it helps me stay off my phone, but it's also a bad thing because I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, do I want to fully focus on something right now, or do I want to do 8 different things at the same time and play Subway Surfers? So
now, question, do you normally use your phone when you're playing games?
No, I should actually, to be honest, I shouldn't have said using my phone, but more of I can't listen to a podcast and play Yakuza 7. You know, I can do that with like Factorio and like other non-story based video games.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Or like like during, you know, like sometimes cutscenes can get boring and you're just like, let me check my phone while this cutscene's going, but it's not, because I have to read the Japanese or read the English because they're speaking
the
Japanese.
English.
Yeah, I will say Yakuza has a lot of cutscenes, but they're also slow cutscenes. Like as good as the story content is, the cutscenes tend to be very slowly paced.
And those auto ones don't go forward quite fast enough. Like you have to be on it to hit the A to go to the next thing.
It's like a pause. Yeah.
So it's overall fantastic video game, and I'm loving it. I also played Mario Party Jamboree last night, folks. I didn't think the greatest thing ever could happen to me, but I crawled to victory, and by crawled to victory, I immediately excelled and jumped to victory with 10 stars. 10 glorious, beautiful stars. Well, I think the next closest person was my sister-in-law, who had 4 stars. It was incredible. It was this Goomba Island, which is great because there's high tide and low tide, and like all the islands are just like circles. So you're just like stuck going in a circle until it's low tide, then you can go to the next landmass. And it's just that over and over again. And it's small enough so when you get an ally, you're like right at the star, you're getting double stars every single time. And it never works out perfectly for me, but multiple times I never found an ally, but when someone finds an ally, there's like a competition to win the ally. And I won them every single time and had them right before the star. So I kept getting 2 stars, 2 stars, 2 stars. And then the final 2 like the bonus stars at the end of the game both went to me, and I was just like, this never happens, like, oh my god. But it was truly incredible. I don't care if no one cares, I'm just excited.
I did remember yesterday that I'm pretty sure at the end of our extra live stream we did hit an unlock of a 50 turns Mario Party stream.
Yes. We did do that. We have that in the 3D movie maker.
Yes, but we have like a year to do that, and Sibylla sent us some
I'm just gonna have ChatGPT do that whole thing and not tell Sibylla, so that'll I'm just kidding. But we have that, and then Karen has made sure I don't forget that Ian has to go dressed up as Sonic to a convention, so I'm not gonna let that.
So we'll try and do PAX Prime next year.
Fall that down. It's exciting, it's fun. Mario Party, we're gonna have to probably play one of the older ones, because unless we do a 30 turn game and then a 20 turn game of Jamboree.
I do kind of want to play Jamboree because that's the only one I haven't played.
That was the only thing I was sad about our trip, is because we were pretty exhausted on Sunday, is that we didn't play Jamboree for you, because I do think it is the best Mario Party, and you would have at least enjoyed it a little bit. But yeah, so we'll have to figure that out when we get there. And then finally, folks, came out on Tuesday already. So much buzz. That's right. Rise of the Golden Idol, sequel to Case of the Golden Idol, was released on the PlayStation PC, PlayStation computer. That's what I use, on Steam. Yep. And I'm about 7 hours into it, a couple chapters in. It's feeling good. It's feeling great. They've improved a lot of stuff from Case of the Golden Idol as far as UI. It is, if you remember in Case of the Golden Idol, you were seeing scenes, and then you were kind of mad-libbing all the clues you find in the scenes into these events, figuring out what happened. In that one, you have to like click on the individual things to pull the words, and in the sequel now, it kind of like you look at an object and it pulls all the words for you, so you're not like really hunting for words in case you miss something. This one takes place in the 70s. It is a, what do they call it, unlinked sequel. It's not like you don't need to play the first game to play this game. It's a standalone sequel. There we go.
I don't know about.
There you go.
Granted, I'm only on chapter 2, but You should play the
No,
first
you should
game.
totally play. This is just their words. They call it like
They're
it's
liars.
It's the same world, and there's stuff you would get from playing the first game, but it's not directly story continuation link from the.
But
I do. Game.
Well, that's not true. And second of all, I do think the difficulty starts higher in Rise of the Golden Idol. So they're wrong. You should absolutely play Case of the Golden Idol first. That's gonna get you used to the format, and you'll recognize the story beats that carry over into Rise of the Golden Idol. So I'm sure they said that. Completely disagree though.
Okay, fantastic. Happy for that. I so far the game I enjoy. I think it's funny. I was gonna say I think this game is very easy, and I am quite surprised by that. I mean, the final DLC for Case of the Golden Idol was super hard and difficult, but so far I'm on chapter 5 of Rise of the Golden Idol. 4 or 5. I think I'm on 5. And it hasn't been a breeze. There's been a couple I've had to like sit and think for a little bit, but there hasn't been one where I'm like really racking my brain and I haven't hit a single hint button in this or the previous game, and I was pretty close on one of them so far. But then I just was like, oh, I realized what I said wrong, like semantically. But I will say, for a lot of things, they have kind of taken out the ambiguity on some words, which I really do appreciate. There was like a situation in one of them where I thought one word would fit, but because it didn't have like the past tense of the word, I knew that wasn't the one that went there. And it was just like a different word that would go there. And so that was quite fun. But yeah, overall, I'm super enjoying it. It's great to have more of these point and click adventure Case of the Golden Idol games. I bought the deluxe edition, which comes with the season pass for the next 4 DLCs. And I was like, hell yeah, I will definitely do that. I think, I don't know if you didn't like the first game, like Jake and Kyle didn't like the first game. I don't think you'll necessarily love this game, but it presents it in a much easier way to understand, I think. I
would still. So I don't mean to cut in here, but I've noticed all the UI changes that you're talking about. I think half of them make the game more frustrating. So for example, like you talk about, hey, if you click on an item, previously, I believe it would click on an item and it would have a description, and you would have to click on words in the description. But the words would be highlighted. So it'd be like, hey, this is a bloody ring, right? And bloody ring is highlighted in red, and you would click on them to add them as words to your word list. Mm-hmm. In this one, once you click on the ring, it says a bloody ring, and then it'll just automatically add bloody ring, which sounds simple when it's like that. But sometimes you click on a letter and there's 15 words that get added, and it just kind of does that in a way that you can easily miss. And so because you're not interacting with every single word, you can click around, look at stuff, and then go to your word list and be like, where did half of these fucking words come from? Especially if it's names. Like there's sometimes you click on a clue and it gives you 10 names and they just get dumped in your word list and you can't remember where those names came from. Like it's almost giving you the clues too easily, and therefore you have to backtrack and remember where that clue came from.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I will say it is nice that they have broken the one big clue fill-in window into multiple windows, so I can kind of be like, okay, I can load up the names and put that on the screen and still see everything that's happening, so I can piece together the names without having all the other stuff being there, because that's the kind of the way I do it. Is I like to do the names first, then I do all the other extraneous stuff, and then I do the event Mad Libs thing and fill. So,
question for the repositioning of the windows: have you changed the interface size in the settings? I think that's one of the options.
Oh, I didn't even think I didn't even realize I could do that.
I'm playing on a 4K 32-inch monitor, and the UI is way too fucking big. Like I keep trying to do what you do, which is like, hey, I have a clue in the background, and I'm going to pull up the list of names, and I'm going to have my words over here, and the windows are giant, so they're overlapping. So while it's nice that you can rearrange the windows, they're way too big. So that's another UI thing where I'm like, I understand what you're trying to do here, but you're not doing it very well. So I feel like as much as I enjoy the game, because it's more of Case of the Golden Idol, I'm fighting against some of the changes they have made, and that's frustrating to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I've been like placing them like off kilter from each other. That kind of lets me click around to them. But I didn't. You're saying in the settings I can change the UI scale, because maybe I'll.
I think I did see like a user interface scale, because I want to crank that thing down a lot, because like if you're looking at a clue and it's like typically when you click on a clue, it'll open a box of like, this is the letter, or this is what's in this guy's pocket, and that's half your screen right there, right?
Yeah.
And then you click on the word list, that's the other half of your screen. So if you want to open up another thing, it's a window overlaying one of those, and it's like, why? Like, I love the windows, but they're taking up way too much space on my screen. So I'll check that setting. I'm really hoping you can crank it down to make the windows smaller, because I'd love to have all the windows up on the corners of the screen, but I can't do that because then you can't see anything.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I'm really loving it so far. Again, I'm not quite sure I love it as much as the first game, mostly because of the novelty of the first game. And then Vinny was saying this on the Next Lander podcast, which I agree. I much preferred the setting of the first game, because it's in like the late 1700s. This is in the 1970s, still alternate universe stuff. But part of me is like, I wish this was kind of like in like the 19th century or early 20th century would have been fun, just to like have another added thing to it. But overall, it's a nice, cool story so far, neat mystery, and it's kind of reacquainting you with like what the Golden Idol is. And it's been just long enough that they're like, hey, what do these symbols on the Golden Idol mean? And I'm like, fuck, I don't remember. Like, what do they mean? And I'm like trying to piece it back together. There's one really good puzzle that you had to like, I won't say what I won't spoil it, but you had to basically translate a language. It was really cool the way they did it, because I like loaded up the level and it was one tiny room. I'm like, the fuck am I supposed to do here? And it was just like a thing and a book to translate it, and you're like, oh god damn it. So that was super fun. It's great. Anyways, those are the games I've been playing this week. Ian Gibson, you've also been playing Rise of the Golden Idol. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, I think I'm enjoying it. I just started chapter 2. I believe there's 5 chapters total, maybe a little bit more than that. It's great. This is probably, Case of the Golden Idol is probably my favorite puzzle game of all time. And Rise of the Golden Idol, like you said, it's more cases, but not in a way that feels like more on top. They've tweaked things. They've changed the format a little bit. You know, the first game was basically like 10 or 11 cases in a row, and they would have little story links to each other, but they were individual cases. But the way they're doing it this time is that, you know, you have a chapter, and the chapter is 3 to 4 cases, and those cases are kind of related to each other. And as you solve each case, you get words for the chapter. So at the end of the chapter, you should be able to summarize what happened in the chapter using the chapter Mad Lib. And that's really cool. I do appreciate what they've done with the format. So I'm excited to keep playing this, and I'm super excited that they're going to have 4 DLC, because I believe the previous game only had 2, but they were pretty good. So it feels like I've got a full year of Golden Idol ahead of me, basically.
Sorry, I mistimed the end of your sentence. Did you play Obra Dinn, Return of the Obra Dinn?
I did play Obra Dinn. I never beat Obra Dinn. And it's because it has a giant fucking flaw. And here it is, right? You go through everything once and you're like, wow, this is cool. Let me go solve the mystery. And then you're like, oh, I need to redo that one segment. And you go to redo it, and you have to go through like the whole thing again. So if you're like, oh, let me like trigger that memory where this guy was walking away from the boat or whatever, and you trigger it, and you have to sit there for 30 seconds while it's triggering, even if the only clue you want is at the end of that little segment. So I never finished it, because as soon as I realized that to solve it, I was going to have to replay a lot of segments, and that it was forcing me to go through the whole thing. Talk about getting bored during cutscenes. That's what it felt like. And so I never finished it because of that. I probably got like 60% of the guys. And then when I realized I was going to have to sit there through a bunch of it again, just to look for like, okay, show me that clue again. Show me that clue again. And every time you have to re-trigger the sequence, that sucks. I dropped it after that.
I don't remember doing that at all, but maybe it was only because it came up which was a better puzzle game between Obra Dinn and Case of the Golden Idol.
It's Golden Idol.
And honestly, I might go back. I might go Obra Dinn, but just because I love Oberdin. I think it's a fantastic video game. But apparently some of us are too dumb to figure out murder mysteries. So
there could have been a faster way to do it, or they may have added quality of life. I'm up for retrying it one day.
Yeah.
But it was frustrating to go through the entire thing and then be like, I'm ready to solve this. Let me go revisit some clues. And revisiting the clues basically meant replaying small portions of the game over and over again. And I'm like, fuck you. Just let me like fast forward to the end of that segment where the guys are frozen in time. Don't make me go through the whole thing again.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. They also added a bunch of stuff to Case of the Golden Idol to update it. So I was thinking of going back to see what they did there too.
Yeah. I think the UI, because
yeah,
I don't know if it's the same as Rise of the Golden Idol, but they said like, hey, we've significantly changed and updated the UI and UX for Case of the Golden Idol. So I'm assuming they did the same thing there.
Yeah, that makes sense. But tell me about your Factorio.
Yeah, speaking of Trump, I'm on hour 47 of Factorio. I've got nuclear power up and running. I have made it to the planet Vulcanus. Will, where are you at in your save?
I have not picked it up since I've been home, and that isn't out of like not playing it. That's just like consciously I was like, I want to like get Golden Idol out of the way, and then I'll go back to Factorio. But I theoretically can go into space, but I kind of just want to finish prepping to make sure everything's working at home. I don't think I have space science or yellow science, which are the.
I think yellow science you could do it at home.
Yeah.
White science is space.
Is space. So I need to do the yellow science and then kind of get a couple industries shored up. If memory serves me correct, there is. Oh, and there's another military science I have to get artillery, but I think. Slowly my initial deposits are running out, so I was running trains. I was running train on a couple new ore deposits to get them all sent back down south, and replacing everything now that I have bots. Replacing everything with electric furnaces, so I no longer need coal, except for steel. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, my home base is like real solid, and I got nuclear power up and running and everything. But I never really messed with blueprints in Factorio, but this time I'm leaning into blueprints a bit. So for example, like the nuclear power, I got it up and running, and then I was like, this is not an efficient design. So I just went online and found an efficient blueprint of exactly what I built, like the same size and scale, and just used that blueprint. And it feels pretty good. It's like, hey, I solved the puzzle myself. I did not come up with the best solution, but I did it. Now I'm going to replace it with a better solution that somebody else has provided.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing with the space platform. I did the space platform. The interface sucks. I got it up and running. And then I took that space platform to another planet, and it was working just well enough to get me there. But I would need to like redesign it to have like be it really safe and secure on the return trip as well. And I was like, yeah, screw that. And I just went and found somebody's blueprint and used that to build another space platform. Because again, it was like, I've solved this. I've taken this to another planet, but it's not working super efficiently. So let me find somebody else's design. So yeah, I'm on the lava planet now. I've been there about an hour. It's pretty interesting. I can't tell if I'm doing it wrong or if it really is just this punishing. But when you go from the home planet to the space platform, you can't take anything with you. All you can take are your guns and the things in your suit. Like not in your inventory, like the add-ons.
Oh, so not suit. Even like the utility stuff in your suit.
Yeah, that's it. You know, like, and you can't even take robots with you. Like I have a roboport in my suit, but I can't take the bots with me. So I go to the other planet, and basically you kind of start fresh, but they've drastically changed the crafting. So like the planet I landed on, there's no iron patches, there's no copper patches. You have to destroy rocks, and some of them give you iron and copper. And you have to use that to get enough industry set up to then pump lava out. And when you pour lava in a foundry, you can say, pour this into copper or pour this into iron. So it's like drastically changing the basics of the game, but it's also starting fresh. And I've been there an hour and I barely have it up and running because it's like I'm back to stone furnaces and feeding it coal, you know, to like get it going. And so it's really slow, and I just can't tell if there are some resources that I haven't found yet, or if I'm skipping something. Otherwise, I'm having to like babysit, and I spent like 10 minutes today just building enough electrical poles to like go pump sulfuric acid out of the ground. And it was like, so it's an interesting challenge. It's a little frustrating, mostly because of that challenge, but it has added a nice element to the game. I do need to look it up though, because at some point I need to get from the surface of the planet back up to the space platform. And I don't know that I have enough resources or tech on this planet to build myself back. I'm assuming I do.
Yeah.
But if I do, it's basically like starting from scratch on another planet, but half the resources aren't available and half the crafting recipes are completely different. So it's definitely changed the game up. I'm still going to keep playing it. I don't know if I'm going to finish all of Space Age because I think there's 4 planets and I just got to the first one, and each one feels like you're starting over. But still enjoying it. Factorio, still good.
Hell yeah. We love Factorio. Karl, when are you starting Factorio?
Yes, never.
Wow.
Not out of hate for the game. It's just you know when you're in those phases where you kind of just your time feels short. So like Factorio is one of those games where I'm gonna have to pour in too much. So I'm kind of veering away from those right now.
I hear you.
He says as he's on Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I mean that's a terrible game to pour any amount of time into. So
yeah,
good call on not playing.
You know, genuinely, yeah.
Good call.
You know,
my wife saw. Speaking of sick and disgusting things,
Borat.
My wife Borat. Yes, she has a chair. She was on Instagram a while ago and got a sickening video recommended to her of some sort of Cyberpunk 2077 mod that looked very good. And she said, husband, as she calls me, Cyberpunk 27. I thought that was a bad video game. What is happening here? And I said, it is disgusting and awful. Report that and block it. So thankfully I've cured her. And she has she is, however, has another disease brought on to her by none other than one of my good friends, Ian Gibson, in which she's insisting she gets to play Astrobot. And I'm disgusted by this because
game's great.
I'm borrowing it for me. So she doesn't get to play it. That's ugh. No, but I do have that to play. I think I'm gonna once I finish Case of the Golden Idol, I think I'm gonna hit that. Try to play during the daytime, so when she gets home, she can play Astrobot at night, and then I can act surprised, like, oh, wow, I've never seen that yet.
I unfortunately got spoiled for the ending, which is sad for me.
Is it
the ending of Astrobot?
Wins?
Yeah, the ending of Astrobot. Yeah.
I finished Astrobot on stream on Extra Life Sunday morning. I don't fucking know why people keep saying spoiler. There's no spoiler there. People were
no. Astrobot's son is Loki. That's the thing.
Oh, I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but spoiler, folks. They tease a sequel. That's it. There's no real spoiler there. The spoiler, I will say, is there are special worlds in the game. I think those are spoilers. But the ending of Astrobot, he don't think
dead the whole time.
Just to be clear, maybe I was sleep deprived. I'm gonna look up live what the what people say.
Actually, you don't need to because we have it pre-taped. I'm gonna roll the tape.
Yeah.
This is great podcast content.
Sorry,
no, I'm pretty sure at the end, your father dies, but with DLC you can actually come back. You wake up in the Brotherhood.
Right.
There's a joke at the end. From what I can see, people are just talking about the joke.
No, I mean, are we talking about the same game?
Did he not beat it? So I'm confused now.
I did.
Did you
there's an ending. There's an ending sequence, which is just an ending sequence, but there's not like a big story thing ending.
Okay. Let me hold on.
This is folks. We're getting into it right now, figuring this out. Apparently, Dumbledore was gay the whole time.
It's a good ending. It's a good ending, but it's not like, I don't know why people are like it's a spoiler.
No, I mean it's
Mario gets
See,
married.
it's not a spoiler.
okay. Nah,
It's not a
it's
spoiler.
never mind. It's like a whatever.
Listen, I'll play it and
the-
I'll tell you if it's a spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
In
play
like
it.
2 weeks.
It was a good.
we'll-
I'll put it this way:
Yeah.
it was a good ending. There is a bit where I do think you would prefer not to know this specific little thing happens, but at the
yes.
same time, I'm gonna fucking spoil it.
No,
Okay, you
no.
ready?
No.
No.
It's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler.
Let it.
It's
This
not gonna
bit has
happen.
gone on for too long.
spoiler.
That's not gonna happen.
Real
Anyways,
quick.
let's move on from spoilers to
Y'all are idiots.
yodelers.
Not you guys specifically, but anybody being like, "Oh my god, it's such a big spoiler." The ending. I'm like,
No,
no.
like it's
That
not.
was just.
yeah.
It's a cute little thing that happens at the end. The spoiler are the worlds. That's the spoiler in Astrobot. It's not the ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, worlds apart, our worlds together. Folks, Ian wants to do a little Game of the Year recap here as we approach the beginning of a new year, the end of an old year, and quite possibly the continuation of the greatest presidency America's ever seen. You want to? You go ahead, Ian. Go ahead, please. I see the rest of my time.
Yeah. So, folks, it is now more than 11 months into the year. No, that's not true. 10 and a half months into the year. We have a month and a half left. For our Game of the Year, we kind of stumbled upon a format late last year that I think we're going to repeat again, which is basically, as a team, we're going to come up with our top X number of games unranked. I think last year we did our top 15 games. We'll talk about those briefly, but of those, we will pick collectively up to 4 games of the year. We're straying away from the thing that there can only be one game of the year. There are different gamers, there are different people, different tastes, and there are different games that can be just as good as other games. And so, of that 15 list, each of us is going to pick our game of the year. It may be the same as another person, it may be 4 completely different games. We'll just see how it goes. But as part of the year goes on, we keep a spreadsheet called GOTY nominees, where we like to put down a list of, hey, these are games that I'm nominating for the final game of the year list at the end of the year. It could be, probably will be in my top 15, could be my game of the year. And
true.
so far, we don't have a lot of games on here. Karl, how do you feel about this year so far? It feels like this year's been a little, I don't want to say lackluster, but there's not been a lot of bangers this year, right?
It's no. I feel like there have been. It just hasn't. I don't. It's less. It's like there are less heavy hitters, but there's still like really good games that came out this year.
Yeah,
like really
I
good
would say
games
that.
came out this year.
Like
Maybe we've just been spoiled by
Balatro.
last year.
Like
I'll go through
Balatro,
the list.
UFO.
I'll go through the list real quick. We only have 12 on the list so far. We've got Pal World, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Helldivers 2, Balatro, Dragon's Dogma 2, Mini Shoot Adventures, Crow Country, Planet Crafter, The Operator, 1000X Resist, Shapes 2, and UFO 50. A solid list, but I thought we would have more than 12 games on here.
You know,
this
I
close
hate
to
to
the end of
say
the
it,
year.
and at least I don't think it. I don't know. I would put Mario Party Jamboree on that list.
You putting it up here?
I'm putting it up there. I think I would 100% put that up on there. Now, to be fair, Ian did not read all of the other games that are on that list that none of us have played but have keyed out to be as possible contenders.
We
don't
we
yell
have
at
not
us
played
that
all
we
the
didn't-
games this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've not played all the games this year. We have just as many games that we would like to try. So, but before I go through that list, Karl, are there any games you think we're missing from that initial nominee list? Any games you would want to add?
I'd ask if you'd consider the Elden Ring DLC as its own thing because of how extensive
Yes,
it is.
but no. We could put anything we want on the list, but me personally, no. Get that shit out of here.
I mean, I would count it. I didn't play the DLC because I had started a new game plus, so I haven't made it back to the DLC. Jake played it, I believe.
I'm sure it's great, but for me, it's just more the same, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think it would be eligible if one of us was super passionate about it.
Yes. If somebody wants to put it on the list.
If I played it and I enjoyed it, I'd probably put it on the list. I don't think I'm going to be able to rebeat Elden Ring and play the DLC in the next month and a half.
How Lucha, clip this for Jake, please? Thank you.
We'll get Jake on it.
We are missing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I think all of us collectively do not give two shits about. Is that right?
Correct. And I also don't think it was. I keep seeing weird, like, divisive things about that game. Either people love it or hate it. So
it feels like it's literally divisive. It has a lot of good stuff. It has a lot of bad stuff, and that to me says probably not worth my 40-50 hours, considering the amount of frustration that people have with it.
I would say not worth my 40-50 hours to get it in before Game of the Year. Like, I'd probably play it someday eventually if I get back on that Final Fantasy VII kick. But
are there any games you are planning to play between now and GOTY discussions sometime in January?
No, I mean, I'd have to pull the list back up. There was let me see if I can get up here. I would love to play Metaphor Refantasio as a sort of finally getting into that Persona series that I've never played. I think that
we
would
do
be
have
neat.
We've got two strong GOTY contenders coming out next week: Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and Stalker 2 on Tuesday and Wednesday.
True.
Did y'all play the? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there are a bunch of on this list again that we just put on here because of positive buzz, or one of here's save data recommends like on here. So like there's a bunch of those, but none of these seem like they're 50-hour games other than Metaphor Refantasio. So I think that would be the only one I might commit to, but I think that would sacrifice playing 15 smaller games on here for the
we got a lot of 10-hour or less games on here, which is great, honestly.
You were gonna say, Carl?
It's just like two games that I'm not sure if y'all played. A shorter one, which is Thank Goodness You're Here.
We have it on the try list.
Okay, and there's the Warhammer game, Space Marines.
Oh, Space Marines 2.
Jake did play that, but he did not put it on the list. I think kind of the consensus was pretty good, solid 7, soft 8, but not necessarily worth the cost of admission. And if it's not worth the cost of admission, then it's probably not a GOTY nominee.
Fair enough.
I am adding Karl recommends to Thank Goodness You're Here, though. So I'm not hit it.
So since Will teased it, I can go through the list of games that we still have potential tries here. So these are things that I don't want to forget about them, but we put them on the list. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I did buy a copy of that recently on sale, so I'll try that. Phantom Abyss, which is kind of the dungeon runner that came in 1.0 this year. Little Guardsman, that's another save data recommends. Pepper Grinder, which is a nice short sweet platformer. I had some fun on there, so I didn't put it on the list, but I said, hey, somebody else should try this, they may love it. Animal Well, which Kyle recommended, but I don't think he ever officially put on the GOTY list. Mullet Mad Jack, which is supposed to be just a crazy, fun, stylish Steam game. Thank goodness you're here, like you said. Children of the Sun, which is a sniper puzzle game. Biomorph, can't remember what that is, but I put on the list. SteamWorld Heist 2. I know Karen really liked that. It sounds like it's even better than the first one. Tactical Breach Wizards, actually, Jason and Zach and David from Zay Data were talking about that a lot. Judero, can't remember what that is, but it's on the list. Metaphor Refantasio, which I'm not going to play it. I don't have enough time for an Atlas game right now or the patience for it. Jake, Kyle, I don't see them playing it. Actually, I feel like we could convince Jake and he would finish it in like 3 days. But we'd have to convince him to start it. And Will, you're probably the only person who would play Metaphor, but it sounds like you're not gonna.
Yeah, I think I accidentally committed to Yakuza 7. I feel like that's my like story time game. Even though I have like Octopath Traveler and all that others 2 and everything sitting on my Xbox. Hot in from the chat, Kyle just said Animal should be on the list. Question mark.
You got it. You have to add it to the list, Kyle. That's the whole purpose of the list. Is if you nominate something, you have to add it.
Officially. Well, he might not have been on that. Well, he was. Yeah. Anyways, If you want to add it, I can put it on.
Y'all,
and then finally,
y'all heard-
Echo Point Nova, just the last one here. Echo Point Nova is supposed to be a crazy wall running, jetboarding, jumping around FPS that came out on Steam recently. That's supposed to be great. Sorry, Karl, go ahead.
Yeah, and, y'all heard of this? It's like a smaller game called Angerfoot. Has that
It has. It did not get a lot of positive buzz when it came out, so I've been hesitant to put it on the try list.
Did it get any buzz?
I don't think so. It got trailer buzz when it was announced, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other recommendations for us?
I'm trying to think through. There's like, the other problem is I need to re-go through I keep a Notion tracker of all the games I played this year, and there's probably a couple like super great like indie games or something I played that I want to throw on the list only to be like, oh, let me throw this so people remember it or at least get to try it before we make our big choice when it comes out.
Did y'all mention Black Myth Wukong, or did I zone out for that?
I think
Because that was a big one.
I don't think any of us actually wants to try that. So that's another divisive game where it feels like people were positive about it, but then you started to read into the reviews and it felt like it was just a boss rush game. And I don't think any of us give a shit about a boss rush game, honestly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not really.
There is one more game coming out in December. Indiana Jones and the Circle of Life. That could potentially be on the list. We'll have to see. They did release a bunch of gameplay recently. Did either of you guys watch that?
No,
I did. I
stayed out of it.
I thought you were joking. Were you being serious about that? Because I had your Steam paused.
Indiana Jones is December 9th, unless I did not update that.
Yeah, Circle of Life. Yep.
No, I think Troy Baker posted it.
PS5 next year. Excited to get that on my PS5 Pro that I totally bought.
Number 6.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's...
Oh, no, never mind. December 9th.
I have heard good things from that gameplay that I have not watched, which is that it seems like it is positioned more as an adventure game and not a shooter. And they like showed a lot of early shooter stuff when a bulk of the game I think is like a lot of sneaking and doing puzzles and stuff. So I'm excited in that realm. I'm excited in the realm that I'm a large Indiana Jones fan. I'm also a big Indiana Jones fan. So whatever gets more Indiana Jones inside me, the better. I still haven't seen Dial of Destiny though, but I figured I'd spin that dial when Destiny comes for it.
Nice.
Oh man, maybe I should watch that tonight. I'm in like a, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Action movie phase. We watched Predator. We watched Predators 2. I watched Alien vs. Predator last night.
Great movie.
So, it was pretty good. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a shot with these. I don't want to say generic, but like these action movies that could be amazing or they could just fall completely flat.
I've been watching
time for Dial of Destiny.
Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin, Blue-Eyed Teary Boy, whatever it's called. Which is pretty good. I reset up my Plex on my HP that I brought for Extra Life, and then it was giving me issues, but then it turns out it was just an issue Plex had regardless on my NAS anyways. And I kept trying to update the hard drive. I kept renaming the files. Why isn't it seeing these Mobile Suit Gundam movies? Like, it's in TV shows, it's not recognizing them, and I kind of get that because they're TV movies, so I moved them over to movies. Why is it movies seeing them? Turns out the computer was unlinked from the hard drive. So it just wasn't so it wasn't giving me like can't find the hard drive because it could. It just wasn't linked to it to update. So I was pissed. But anyways, I did start watching that, and those are quite good so far. Good animation there. That is Game of the Year potentials for this year, 2024. Ian Gibson, it's time for the news. What have the gods of the news bestowed upon your brain?
Yeah, there's kind of only 2 big news pieces this week. Week/past week, because we did skip last week. Guys, guess what? Nintendo says the successor to the Nintendo Switch will be announced before the end of the fiscal year, which I believe is the end of March 2025. And also, Nintendo Switch software will also be playable on the successor to Nintendo Switch. Two big pieces of news buried in tweets from Nintendo Company Limited. I think the announcement is not a surprise. Was the backwards compatibility a surprise to you guys?
I don't think so.
Not even remotely. Yeah.
I don't think so either. I do think they didn't say this, but I do think this leads credence to the idea that we're going to have cartridges again, and we're going to have the same cartridge slot, etc. Because if you think about going from like I'm trying to think, going from like N64 to GameCube, right? There's no backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
And then there's like GameCube to Wii, which does have backwards compatibility software and hardware because you can put the discs in. So there's like a variety of different backwards compatible formats that Nintendo has done, and I think they're one of the friendliest with backwards compatibility. But I'm reading into this meaning, yeah, this is going to be very close to original Switch hardware. Same size, same format, same factor. It's just going to have some tech, screen, etc. upgrades.
Yeah, or if anything, it's like it's like with the DS. Like if it doesn't fit in the same slot, at least, but you could do
second slot.
Like the DS had a Game Boy and then the DS card, then the 3DS could take DS and 3DS games. And like you said, the Wii, the GameCube and Wii, the Wii and the Wii U. Like as long as the formats match, they're usually pretty good about. Like obviously, there's nothing between the Wii U and the Switch because the Switch doesn't have a disc drive.
Yeah.
And nobody bought anything for the Wii U. I feel like if the Wii U was a shit ton more popular, they would have released some sort of disc drive for the
dock would
Nintendo
have a disc
Switch.
drive for this.
Yeah, if not that, then they would have released like a separate one. I guarantee it. But again, if the Wii U had taken off, maybe they wouldn't have made the Switch. So, anyways,
there's also another important piece of news here. Quote, Nintendo Switch Online will be available on the successor to Nintendo Switch as well, end quote, which basically means, again, reading into it, your account will carry over, your purchases will carry over. This feels like the big news because they are typically terrible at multiplayer. They're typically terrible at account management. They will wipe stuff between console generations like they did between the Wii U and the Switch. It basically said, fuck you, what's virtual console? But this feels like the start of something better for Nintendo and actually having a throughput generation to generation.
Yes, but also like I feel like this was a mandatory thing for them. Like if they didn't, it would be insane.
I don't think so. Because but they have always been insane. They still have friend codes, right?
Yeah,
this is
like
a company where you can't trust them to do the thing that makes sense that everybody else is doing.
True, but like 2024, the like purchases not like backwards compatibility, but like your purchases don't go over. Would have been like even for Nintendo, it would have been absurd, like insane.
Yeah, that's fair. So hopefully they're standardizing their offering a little bit. I mean, remember, they just put out a music app because they did not want to make their catalog available on Spotify or YouTube Music or Pandora or whatever. They were like, no, we're going to put out our own half-assed app instead.
I forgot.
I went to go listen to Smash Brothers Brawl music on that app, and it is not there. And I said, "What the fuck, Nintendo?
It's a limited catalog.
Own it."
You can't cast from the app. So if I open the app and try and cast it to one of my Googles, like I do with every other fucking music and podcast app on Android, it doesn't have that option.
No way.
Yeah. So that's the thing. They will bend over backwards to do it the incorrect way.
Yeah, but to actually cast it, you have to get the Alarmo. And that way.
Fuck that. Fucking Alarmo. I was thinking about the Alarmo. I don't think I was here when we talked about it, but
no.
It's $100 alarm clock.
It's
who is that for other than man children, right?
It's
like
for
literally.
Kids.
No, it's not for kids because the kids don't have the nostalgia to that. Who's going to buy their kid $100 alarm
exactly.
clock? Yeah. The only kids who are going to, and the only kids who are going to have a Nintendo account to link that to and actually use it properly are like 13, 14, 15. And an alarm clock is a terrible fucking gift for those kids. I think it's a bad idea all around.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it was their like stab at trying to have something for this holiday season that might appeal to children. And I can see a parent being like, oh, a Nintendo clock with a screen and everything in it. Like, oh, I'll get this for little Billy or little Timmy.
Yeah.
Or little
and
Trisha.
I'm made of money. So I'm made of money, or I can't
Our
see
economy's
that
doing so
second
great.
zero. Yeah. Yeah, it's just wild. Whatever the fuck they're doing over there. Speaking of whatever the fuck they're doing over there, Phil Spencer did some interviews, and he said that yes, they are working on an Xbox handheld, but it's a couple years away. Are you guys excited for an Xbox handheld?
Honestly, yeah.
Sure. I'll take it.
I don't think I am, and it's because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, what do I want out of a handheld? And I don't think I want an Xbox branded handheld that plays Xbox games poorly because it's local hardware. I don't want it to play cloud because that's lame. I want them to just put Xbox Game Pass on the Steam Deck. That's all I want them to do. Because you can't really play Game Pass on the Steam Deck. I think you can kind of sideload it and play some games, but if they said all of our catalog now works on the Steam Deck, that would be amazing, right? I don't need them to make their own hardware. I need them to lean into their new marketing push. Everything's an Xbox, including the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I was gonna say that marketing push today. I wonder if that's somewhere like if it's not in the cards, it most certainly was discussed heavily, and either it's Valve saying no or them saying no for like the brand risk or something. But the fact that isn't their first thought to like go to the ROG Ally, those devices to just have native like the Windows Game Pass app even, I think is would be a great choice.
Because that's the other thing that they need to work on, right? I don't think they need to work on physical hardware. They need to work on the software. So one part is get Game Pass largely compatible with Steam Deck and Linux and Steam OS. The other part is, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Xbox is part of Microsoft. Microsoft makes Windows, and Windows on handheld or tablet devices is a fucking terrible experience. Like, it is not meant to be used in handheld mode. It is not meant to go to sleep. It is not meant to be interacted with anything other than a mouse and keyboard. And I don't want them to focus on an Xbox handheld. I want them to work on and put out like an actually good handheld gaming console version of Windows, so that the ROG Ally, which is like 2 to 3 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, is actually usable. Like, the number one complaint with the ROG Ally is that it eats up battery life. It's slow to boot. It's really hard to navigate between the games because it's running on Windows. Like, it's all like UI, UX, hardware, software, OS problems. I don't want them to work on an Xbox handheld. I want them to make an Xbox version of Windows that works really good on the existing hardware handhelds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if wishes were dreams, then we'd all be asleep. So.
Yep. And that's it for the news.
That's it for the news, folks. No other news this week. That's going to be close to the end of the show. Quick content call out here was the Save Data Extra Life is this weekend at some point, but the actual content call out for that and things you should care about is Karen will be on Price is Right, 3 p.m. Eastern for the Save Data what the crap thing. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will be showing off another amazing PowerPoint. I researched refrigerators for about 4 hours today. Got pretty deep into patent law. And I think I'm a Scientologist now. So look forward to my PowerPoint presentation on Saturday. That's at 7 p.m. And then Karen, 3 p.m. earlier that day, Price is Right. They're raising money for, I think, themselves.
State Zeta gets canceled this Saturday.
Or it could be for the kids. I'm really not sure. Why are there 50,000 people inside of our Game of the Year? I guess Kyle's trying to. Kyle, how do you not have access to it? What is going on? I'm gonna have like 500 emails from you. Share request. That's weird. Okay. Folks, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna hit the button. Karl from Save Data, thank you so much for being here. You can find their stuff, savedatateam.com/the hub. Go over there. It's got lots of awesome stuff. At is it at Save Data Karl on Twitter?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Kyle's adding Animal Well. It's below, Kyle. It's below. You can just add your name to it. We will be back next week with some fun new streams. Tuesday, we're going to probably be going to Vietnam, I think, is where we're going.
I do believe so.
I do believe so. The committee to restart the Vietnam War is coming together. And then we'll have local chat next week, as well as some other stuff. Make sure to tune in to Extra Life for Save Day this weekend. Give them as much, actually give them less money than us, because I would like to win for once and not get a tattoo. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Karl. Thank you, Will. Bye.
Bye.